Hi, it's Tony from CassetteComeback.com. So, I'm going to warn you now before we even start, there's going to be a lot of talking in this video and not a lot of visual treats. So if you get bored easily by staring at the same thing, maybe you should go and watch a video of some guy playing Minecraft and going, whoa, a lot. Maybe that's more what you really want. So trot along and do that. But this is for genuine analog audio enthusiasts, and it's a strange video that I didn't envisage I was doing, but I'm really glad I did. Now, the reason is that I get a lot of emails and messages. I get loads. I can't answer all of them. I really can't be a personal tape guru. But one that comes up a lot regards people who want to record their bands or concerts in analog. And a lot of them try to use like Sony field recorders, or if they're recording at home, they're using the Tascams and the Yamahas, which run at 4 speed, and they want to know the best tapes to put in there. And, you know, I give them advice and stuff. But one guy, it's you, Jacob, saying he wanted to record live concerts on tape. And I said, well, not being funny, if you really want to record a live concert, well, get yourself something like this. You know, a PCM digital recorder. This records high resolution. This is a brilliant piece of kit. I love this. All of the audio from my videos is captured on this because I love it so much and it's so good. It's got built-in unidirectional microphones that you can move around. It's got line inputs. If you want to take it from the desk at the stage, you know, you can alter the levels of it. This is a brilliant bit of kit. It's not cheap, but it's a brilliant bit of kit and I love it. That's what I'd use if I was recording live, and then you can put it onto cassette in any analog format you want afterwards. But I get it when people say, like Jacob did, he turns up with a cassette deck and people get really, you know, excited, and he wanted to know the best way to tape an entire concert, and he wanted to use 120 length tapes at 4 speed in a Yamaha multi-tracker, and it's like 120 length tapes got to be handled with care in a good deck. 4 speed in a Yamaha, no, you don't want to do that. But how do you get any sort of analog long recording without resorting to something like a reel-to-reel? Well, this is where these come in. Now, I don't think VHS is going to make a comeback. And the reasoning behind it is, whenever I think about why cassettes make a comeback, or vinyl have made a comeback, it's because there's something about it that isn't fully captured in a modern equivalent. For example, you know, the cassettes and the records, we've got the analog warmth. I don't know, you know, perception, but we've got the analog warmth, and then we've got the physical nature of the item, how they look, their sleeves, how the cassettes, you know, the works of art, some of them, the beautiful things, add the nostalgia to that, and you've got something which isn't fully, you know, replicated in modern streaming digital and MP3s or even CDs. You know, it's not fully replicated. However, VHS, well, I mean, well, okay, let's just take a cassette, shall we? Look at this. I mean, I actually got this in a job lot, and I thought, well, when am I ever going to use this again? But as it turns out, never throw anything away, because you never know. So, you know, let's have a look at the VHS cassette. They all sort of look the same. I mean, yeah, there's the odd exception, but on the whole, they look like this. Pretty characterless. You know, there's nothing special about the VHS cassette. I mean, there's a nostalgic factor, but as a thing, they all look the same. They never really went to, you know, making them, I mean, there were some in different colours, but you know what I mean? If you look at some of the designs of audio cassettes, what they did within the dimensions of the shell, they made them look vastly different. These pretty much all look the same. Why? Because you never really saw these. You know, they were slotted into the video and you never saw them. So what was the point of making them anything spectacular? So they don't have the visual appeal, but more important than that, this was all about video. And the point is that the DVD and then the Blu-ray and digital video in general just blows analog video out of the water. It blows it out of the water. It's as simple as that. The picture quality is miles better than VHS, and it's miles easier to actually deal with, you know, for editing and storing, miles easier, and you don't have to do with the cassettes and the tracking And basically, VHS has been completely outclassed by DVD, Blu-ray and digital video. It's just miles better. And as much as I have a lot of nostalgia for VHS, I mean, if you're a certain age, you remember the joy of your dad saying, come on, we're going to go to video shop. It's like, yes! Because you never knew what was going to be there. Better than the deed, better than the memory, the anticipation. You walk in, whoa, the new Van Damme film's out. Yes, yes, I've been waiting for this. Yes, yes. Oh, they've got tabs in all the boxes. They've all been rented out, and then the guy will come from the shelf and then take a tab out of one. It's like, yes, Death Warrant. I'm going to enjoy myself tonight. Yeah, Death Warrant. Yeah, but you get it. It was an event to go to the video shop, and then when everyone sat round watching the film, it was an event in the house. And like now, where everyone's streaming on the tablets and phones, it doesn't matter. It was an event, you know. And the other thing that I love about VHS is the boxes. I mean, you know, look at this. Look at that cover art. I mean, cover art on modern DVDs and Blu-rays of old films. I mean, I've got it wrong. I mean, I'm going to move that here. But look at the original video cover art of Bronson with his Wildy Magnum blowing away the scum. And look at what they use for the Blu-ray release. What's that all about? I mean, VHS box art is great. I mean, I understand people collecting VHS tapes for the box art. I do understand that. These are pieces of art. And I mean, you know, like especially like the really old rare stuff that never got released. It's like this. I mean, I've got this because this film, it's not an amazing film, but I always like this film. Great Keith Emerson soundtrack on this, actually. This film is not available in any digital format. It's not available on DVD, Blu-ray, and it's not on any of the streaming services. I mean, it's not a great cover on that, but, you know, there is some aspects of VHS, and I get it, but it will never come back mainstream simply because everything modern is better than this when it comes to video reproduction. However, that's not what this video is about. And this goes back to what Jacob was saying, and lots of people have asked him about making high quality analogue recordings without resorting to the thousands and thousands of pounds that is going reel to reel. What about HiFi VHS? Well, I mean, if we look here, NICAM, that might not mean a lot to everyone because that's what we use in the UK, and NICAM was digital. However, the digital part of it was the decoding the NICAM signal which came into the VCR, turning it into analog and recording it to the tape, because HiFi VHS records in FM, you know, like FM stereo on the radio. It's an analog playback. Otherwise, you couldn't record something in stereo on a video like this and then take it to an old top-loading Ferguson Video Star, which wasn't hi-fi, and plug it in, put it in, and you'd just play back digital noises. It didn't. It played back sound because it's recorded analog. And I remember back in the day personally, when we got our first HiFi VCR, what I used to do was I used to bang in a 4-hour tape. I used to take the output of the tuner in our HiFi stack, put it into the audio ins of the video, set the timer on the video, and Sunday afternoon I'd record all of the top 40 onto a HiFi cassette in the HiFi video, and then afterwards I would just simply play it back, and because of the timer on it, I'd time when the tracks I wanted were coming on, and I'd just be able to fade in and fade out so I didn't get the DJ. And I used to do that about once a month, and I always had a cassette of the hits that I liked sounding brilliant. So I wanted to know now that I've got better equipment, is this still a viable way to record high quality analog audio? I mean, you know, this deck is not one I was planning on using. I actually bought a deck just for this video. It's a deck that I used to like when I was younger, that I used to have in the swap shop where I used to work, which I've talked about before. Love this deck. It's this Panasonic MV70, and there it is running yesterday. Fantastic. This morning, come to plug it in, dead as a doornail. So this NVHD 680 is one that I picked up a few years ago. It was in a charity shop, and it was one of them things when, well, it wasn't a charity, yeah, it was a charity shop, but it wasn't like a chain. It was an independent one who didn't care about pat testing stuff, and they just put stuff on the shelves. And I just saw it there, this mid-90s deck, and it was like £2, and it's like, well, you never know. I still want to get round to digitising Best Revenge, you know, and putting that on something I can watch it on my tablet. What the hell, it's £2. So I bought it. And even nowadays, that isn't a bargain for these, because going to eBay, these sort of videos are now, put it this way, you can buy several for the price of one MAR. And this thing on top is my mum's old one, which she doesn't need anymore because I introduced her to Netflix, and I've never seen anyone devour box sets like my dear old mother is on Netflix, you know. So she didn't want this anymore. This is late, it's because it's got a built-in DVD recorder, but it's still hi-fi. It was fairly cheap then, it's worth next to nothing now. I'm going to use this as well, and what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to take a tune, I'm going to record it on this Panasonic. Yeah, this doesn't have all the nice level controls and stuff like the N70, which is sitting in the spare room now, ready to get thrown away because it's dead. Like I say, old electronics, who'd have them? But it still records in stereo analog hi-fi. And then to prove a point, I'm going to take it from this and I'm going to play it back in this. So let's see if tracking has a problem, see if it has to be played back only on the video that you record it on, or if it'll play back nicely on a completely different cheap video recorder. So because these aren't 3-head decks, I'm not going to be able to do like the usual monitor thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to record a tune. I'm going to record it on this. I'm going to record it in slow play SP, and then I'm going to record it in LP as well to see if that makes a difference. So potentially on one E240 cassette you could get 8 hours of non-stop audio. And then I'm going to just show you in Audacity, I'm going to put up the original file, and then I'm going to put up the version that was recorded in SP and the version that was in LP, and we're going to cut between them and see if we can tell any discernible differences. So I'm going to start recording now, and then I'll see you back at the computer. Okay, so what we've got here is on the top the original file, which is a track called Away by Patriarchos, and I'm really liking his stuff. I used it in the last video, and it's from the YouTube audio library. So if you want some nice tunes from a very talented musician, go over there and download them. They're absolutely free. So that's at the top, and at the bottom we've got the actual recording from the Toshiba, which was originally recorded on the Panasonic and captured on my Sony. So there isn't a long play version simply because the Panasonic needs a remote control to be switched into long play mode. And because I haven't used a video in a long time, I've done the fatal flaw of not taking the batteries out of the remote control of something you're not going to use for a while. Especially if you've put Duracell batteries in there. I don't know why Duracell are so expensive, because I've never seen batteries decompose quite as quickly and as well as Duracell batteries. They just, even like their Pro Cells and the Industrials, they just turn to liquid a few months after they've gone by the sell-by date. Varta, they're good batteries, that's what I use now. But anyway, so regardless, that remote control now just doesn't work. I need to have to pry the batteries out and clean it all with IPA and hope that it hasn't damaged any of the boards. So I couldn't get the Panasonic to go into LP mode. But as it turns out, it's not a big deal because it doesn't look like that Toshiba plays back in long play anyway. So we've just got the short play version, which is fine. I mean, 3 hours on an E180 and 4 hours on an E240, that's plenty of recording time for a cassette which probably cost you £2 brand new. So as this switches between them at these points here, there is a slight audible click. It's a good thing because it shows that I haven't just taken the same track and just split it up to try and con you. I haven't. This is genuinely recorded off the Panasonic. But it seems to be an Audacity quirk. It happens sometimes. But I've rendered this as a FLAC file. And if you look in the description, if you really want to download and listen to it without all the recompression, because you've got to think, when I turn this into a video, this audio is encoded once, and then when it gets up to YouTube, it's encoded again, so it's twice encoded. So if you want to download the FLAC and have a proper listen, the little clicks are still there, but have a listen, see for yourself. But anyhow, let's play this now, and you can have a listen to how it works. So remember, top is the original, bottom is the recorded from the video. So let's go. So what did you make of that? I mean, like I say, I've never actually physically seen a reel-to-reel deck, let alone recorded or listened to one. But if I had a reel-to-reel deck and that's the sort of recording it made, I'd be thinking, yeah, my reel-to-reel deck's great and it's working perfectly. Now, I know a lot of you right now are going, you are wrong, I must type terrible things about you. But the bottom line is, in this day and age, if you want to make high quality, affordable, analog audio recordings, get yourself a HiFi VHS recorder. I mean, the thing is, right, you go onto eBay now, you can get something like this. You can probably get 4 of them for the price of one TDK MAXG cassette. Take a cassette, this Maxell Mega Power Tape. I'm no VHS guru in any way, shape or form, but I bet you if you are, you would tell me these are pretty rubbish, because I remember these being sold alongside Maxell XV cassettes in pound stretcher. You know, these are late cassettes that I don't even think are made by Maxell. Let's have a see where they're made. It says, well, it says Shropshire, but it doesn't actually say where they're made. But you know, these are not, these are like, you can get them on eBay all day long for a couple of quid, brand new. And you've got 3 hours of that quality of recording on one of these. Get yourself a few of these decks while they're cheap, they'll outlast you. You've got to think, VHS decks, on the whole, especially these later ones, the direct drive, they don't have belts that need doing. Recapping some of them, yes, but at the price they cost, get yourself a few, store them like something that you actually want to keep, you know, something you respect. Don't throw them in the garage to freeze to death. And like I say, I haven't used this in about 5 years, and it just fired up today, no problem, and worked perfectly. And like I say, stuff like this, they're everywhere, and that tape recorded on this, played back on this, beautiful compatibility. So right now I'm going to stick my neck out, and bear in mind, I do not have a horse in this race. I don't sell videos, I don't sell video cassettes. I've got some VHS head cleaning cassettes, you know what I mean, on the web store. That's about it, because I got them in a job lot and I thought people might need them. I didn't pay anything for them. So yeah, that's about all I've got. But don't bother with your 4-track bleeding 4x speed shredding XL2s or 120s and getting like 5 and 6 minutes of recording. If you want to record analog pure, here we go. Whack that in, you've got 3 hours worth. And over the years, it's proven that VHS tapes, like regular audio cassettes, if you keep them in good condition and store them properly, they're going to last. They're not going to degrade any further. So yeah, I don't have a reel-to-reel, and to be honest with you, I don't have any desire for one, since these sound so good. And it looks like there is actually use for this now. At the start I said that, well, you know, VHS has been beaten in every aspect by DVD and Blu-ray, and they have, and digital video is better than analog. But as an analog audio recorder, right now, these are amazing. You can archive stuff onto this, and like I say, play them on different. The picture might not be brilliant, but it doesn't matter, because you're not recording a picture. The sound is what's important. So I guess it begs the question, why didn't we use videos like this more often? Well, I guess at the time when these sort of came out and they were around, these weren't cheap. You know, videos were expensive at the time, and you know, so at home maybe you did, maybe you didn't, but they weren't always with your hi-fi stack, and you weren't going to spend, you know, £300 and £400 on something like this to record off the radio when you could do it on your cassette. And then as time came forward, we went digital. And in the studios, even for pro reasons, you know, everything was digital, digital, digital. They didn't want to record on a VHS deck. They wanted to record either on the reel-to-reel, and when that went, they went digital, like with all the Mitsubishi digital reel-to-reels, and then they went to DAT, and because digital was good, analog wasn't sexy. They weren't going to use this. And then we're going to look at the other aspect of it. You know, you could only really play it back on this at home. You know, there was no portable, you know, well, there was portable VHS players, but you know, there's compared to a Walkman, they didn't really compare. They were too big. And even though they did, you know, like the VHS-C, which is a lot smaller, this is only a 45-minute tape, but even so, because of the way that it gets threaded out round the drum, you'd have a player that big, which isn't practical for, you know, moving sound. And plus, even long play 90 minutes, it just wasn't practical. It was a wrong thing. More advancements had come. This wasn't sexy. But right now, with the cheap price of these, you want an amazing home analog audio recorder. You want to take something to a gig, get the left and right stereo taken out of the desk, into the back of this, hit the record button and leave it for 3 hours. You're going to have the lot, and it's going to be all analog, and it's going to sound great. So that's my thoughts on this. I'm sure a lot of you will vehemently disagree, but I have a band that I'm going to be recording onto analog VHS. All the outboard is going to be analog. All of the desk is an analog desk. It's an old Mackie from the late 70s that they use in the studio. And it's not because they're a rich studio and all that, it's just they got it for free and no one wanted it, so they're using it. It's a Pezzy studio, but it doesn't matter. This is going to be a live band, all analog outboard, recorded onto this in FM analog, which will then get duplicated to cassettes in analog. And then I've been spoke to the record pressing plant. They could press the vinyl from one of these. So it's going to be an AAA all the way through recording. And yeah, I have a record company. Yeah, that was a little flag at the start. Yeah, I've been doing some experiments recently with stuff. But yeah, the bottom line is, if you want to record at home in analog as best as possible, record live in analog best as possible, get yourself a cheap HiFi VHS deck. So I hope that was okay for you, you know, a bit different, but I wanted to get it done. But until next time, please like and subscribe. Now catch you in the next video, which will be about good old-fashioned compact cassettes. Take care now. Bye bye.